About the series The Sopranos, you need to understand one main thing. Its author and creator, David Chase, was not going to make a series at all. Initially, Chase really wanted to make a movie about the difficult relationship of a grumpy mother and her adult son. Then the idea was overgrown with details. The adult son became a mafia and the family conflict sounded differently. And then HBO offered Chase to write the script for the pilot episode. For HBO it was the second series in general in history, and Chase wrote. But since he did not believe that he would be allowed to shoot as he wanted, he wrote films, not television. Complex, frank, provocative film. So that after HBO will certainly abandon an inappropriate idea, quickly remake it into a screenplay. But unexpectedly, HBO management gave the project a green light. Thus was born the series that changed television forever. The Sopranos is the story of two families. Families in the traditional sense of the word: Tony, his mother Livia, his wife Carmela, and their children, boy AJ and girl Meadow. And families in the sense of a mafia family, an Italian criminal group from New Jersey, which Tony leads. Tony Soprano is trying to be a good son, a good husband and father, and at the same time a tough boss, successfully managing his complex business. In the first series, Tony has a panic attack and, after much thought and hesitation, decides to go to a psychotherapist, Dr. Melfi. And if at the beginning Tony decides on therapy solely for utilitarian reasons, it is dangerous for mafiosi to experience panic attacks, then gradually he begins to let Dr. Melfi into his head more and more and tell her, albeit omitting important details about his real work, about his experiences and fears. A separate story in the series is the relationship between Tony and his mother Livia. She is an absolutely dominant personality, seeking to suppress all dissenters, a skilled manipulator and a psychological sadist. In many ways, it was thanks to her, as we understand it, that Tony grew into exactly the one he grew into. And the whole Tony-Livia line, right up to its denouement, is incredibly tense and emotional. The Sopranos is as far from everything that viewers used to expect from the Mafia series. Here the Mafia is not romanticized as in the same Godfather. Here being a Mafia is just a job, and Tony is an ordinary middle-aged man inclined to be overweight, who has a wife, children, a complicated mother and an endless life. And still it is necessary to be engaged in racketeering. Tony goes to the grocery store, to parent-teacher meetings at school. He is an absolutely ordinary person. Only Mafia. And this is an important point. Tony Soprano is in no way a goody. We can sympathize with him and worry about him, but at the same time we always understand and remember that he is a thief, extortionist, and murderer. Actually, this was precisely the absolute revolutionary nature of the series for 1999. Never before in television was the protagonist, and even so charming, a villain. Alan Sepinwall, in his book Revolution in Television, talks about how David Chase had one real conflict with the management of HBO. When his channel manager read the script for the 5th episode, in which Tony kills a traitor, he tried to argue with the showrunner, "The audience is not ready for this yet, let's postpone the murder until the finale." But Chase insisted on his own. His hero is a mafia and a murderer, and all the people who watch The Sopranos should clearly understand this. For 6 seasons, we will follow Tony's life and his two families, his attempts to build relationships with children, the difficulties in his marriage, and at the same time his struggle for power within his mafia clan, his war with competitors, and his attempts to avoid falling into the clutches of the FBI. The Sopranos combines these two stories in an amazing way, and each one is absolutely compelling. And with each episode, thanks to Tony's meetings with a psychiatrist, we will learn more about what kind of person he is. Tony won't change, but it's incredibly interesting to see how he tries to do it and what exactly gets in the way of his transformation. At the same time, when you start watching, you need to understand another feature of the series. David Chase, being a big fan of classic art cinema, does not really like unambiguous denouements, and there will be a lot of standalone stories in the series that end in nothing. That is, the audience will have to think for themselves what happened in the end. Especially this, of course, will be a problem for many in the final. But this feature does not negate the outstanding quality of this story. The Sopranos is an outstanding novel in the form of a television series. A novel filled with passion, blood, power struggles and the intricacies of human relationships. And if you are interested in TV series, then David Chase's work is a must-see.